So I moved from Miami to Thailand very abruptly about a year ago, and I basically disappeared. I used to post content 1 to 3 times a day, and I just stopped altogether. And I've been wanting to start creating content again, and I just felt all this resistance because I disappeared with zero storytelling, zero explanations, with literally hundreds of messages left unread that I have not looked at. And so much has happened in the last year that I really just wanted to take the time to do a long form video about this because there are not enough minutes and reels to possibly cover the ground of what has happened within this last 2 years, really. So, in this video, I'm going to share with you why I disappeared, why Thailand, how did I end up in Bali, what am I doing now? And who am I, if you're new to my channel. So I'm happy to cover all of that. So if you don't already know me, my name is Coach Tiffany Taylor. I've been an online creator and business coach for the last 7 years, and I stopped creating content, and I'm going to get into that. But last year, very abruptly, I booked a one-way flight to Thailand with basically no notice to anyone, and I just took off and then poof, disappeared. I had shut down my business at the time, and I just felt like it was the best thing to do. And just to go a little bit deeper into this, I had so much shame around what happened. Not just shame, not just like shame, but like just embarrassment, just pure embarrassment over what happened, that I have allowed it to silence me from creating content at all. And I hope anyone watching this can relate to that, because there might be things that have happened. You may have had public failures, and the fear of being judged and putting yourself out there again and owning up to this stuff, it can be hard. And a lot of fear can come around that. So if you're in that space, I just want you to know that, like, I see you, I feel you, I know exactly where you're at. And don't let anything that ever happens to you silence you. Okay. So for me, what that embarrassing thing is I had a broken off engagement. So long story short, I was engaged. I was planning to get married on a Monday. The way we planned it is that Monday was the day that my lease was ending, because I have a hard rule that I will not live with a man until I'm married. So we planned it so that the wedding date would be the same day as my lease would end. So we would move in together once we were married. And that was how we aligned it. And then, and then once on a Friday night, 10 p.m., the I get broken up with out of the blue. Engagement called off, wedding called off. I had a friend even fly in from Korea to be at this wedding, and it was called off. It wasn't let's postpone. It was not let's work it out. It was like, this isn't going to work. And that was that. And I immediately started moving. I already moved a lot of my stuff in, not everything. I immediately like just started taking my stuff out of this house, and now I'm in a really weird position. It's just like, it felt like everything that I was planning had just exploded and blew up in my face. I was planning to get married, that's called off. I was planning to move in, like actually move across the city, and my lease is ending, and now that was called off too. So now I'm like, I have 2 days to figure out where I'm going to move. Like, I need a place to live. And I didn't particularly want to live in Miami anyways. My Miami chapter had already ended for me personally, so I was definitely not about to sign a lease in Miami when I knew that's not where I wanted to call home in the future. And so I had to do something. I didn't know where else I wanted to live. I didn't have any other options in my mind of where I could possibly live outside of Miami. So I went back to where I call home. I went to my safe space. And for me, that's Thailand. I've been going back and forth to Thailand since 2019. And pretty much any time that I've left the US and that I was just looking for a place to feel grounded and really regulate my nervous system and get clarity, I've always gone to Thailand for that. I know when life gets hard, I go back to the same basics. I eliminate any clutter, anything that can be removed from my calendar gets removed. I get obsessive and psychotic in the gym. Like, I do Muay Thai, which is a pretty violent sport, but I'll go do that at the gym, sometimes 4 hours a day. I'll eat really, really healthy. I'll get a massage every day. And that's how I've always handled hard things, pretty much. Not all hard things, but anytime I've been at a crossroads, I've taken a vacation and come out so much stronger on the other side of that. I actually built my business starting in Thailand. So this is a special place to me. So yeah, I took off to Thailand because I didn't even know where I wanted to live yet. I wanted to regroup and gather myself. And, it took a few months. And then, I mean, at the time when I was enduring like everything that happened, there was a few other things that I'll add. So I started having dreams that my partner at the time was cheating on me or was with someone else, with a friend of mine. And then the dreams just started getting more and more vivid. Like I could see this girl's face and I knew her. And it was 8 weeks consistently of dreaming of this. And a few weeks later, I find out it was accurate. So I didn't even have the whole story when things were broken off until like months later that a friend of mine, a girl I supported, that I have gone way out of my way for, a girl that I told personally, like I shared personally the news and the celebration about being engaged. I shared this with her at my Bible study, actually. So she had found out that I was engaged, and then behind my back goes and calls my fiance and says, "Oh, I need some help around my house. Can you help me with that?" Rebuilds the friendship. He breaks things off, and then next thing you know, my friends all knew about this and weren't telling me. So, like, just imagine that for a minute. Like, actively engaged, preparing for a wedding, and some of your closest friends know that this is happening, and they're not telling you a word. They're keeping it a secret. So, it wasn't just a broken off engagement and like the plan of where I'm going to live and my like stability and security there, but it was also some of my closest friends had betrayed me by not telling me any of this. My Some of my closest friends just like said nothing. All of a sudden, I look at my friend stories and I see my ex fiance here with this other girl, and I'm like, isn't it a little bit weird? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I have integrity to where like if one of my friends, if they're cheating on somebody, they're not my friend anymore. I can't support that. And if I know that one of my friends is being cheated on, I'm going to be the first to tell them. Like that's just the way that I am, and I guess I projected that onto other people. But it was just a betrayal from like this all happened within a church. So it was like church hurt. And then it was my closest friends. And even, I had 3 friends that I invited to fly in for this. And one of them watched this all take place and didn't even tell me. And then, time unfolds. And then I find out that the honeymoon trip that was planned, he takes this girl on. And I'm like, what the heck? It was just a lot happening. And in the same time span, my father had 3 heart attacks. My grandmother had multiple surgeries. My uncle was diagnosed with cancer. Like when I say everything was collapsing around me, my nervous system quite literally just could not handle that. And I went into freeze mode, just absolute nervous system shut down to where I felt like I couldn't even function. Um, just handling the family stuff alone. And then I'm just very grateful I went to Thailand after that, but I needed help. I'm like, I don't even know how to even rebuild your nervous system and your life after that. I learned so many important lessons this time, but I'm so grateful I took the time to just regroup and ground myself. So if you're one of the people that have been left unread, if you feel like I ghosted you, I am actively starting to respond to more messages now. I just want to say I am so sorry. I genuinely did not have the capacity to even do this. Like, I did not have capacity to even open messages. There was a point where, I mean, every few days I would wake up because of the time zone difference to a text message that someone was in the hospital in my family for some reason. And it was a period of like 3 months where every 10 to 14 days, hospital, 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 emergency room, big event happening. So I didn't even want to look at my phone. Like I was not okay. And, one thing that really hurt me in that time too is I had a falling out with one of my friends where she did a few things that really hurt my feelings. And I just wasn't ready to talk about it yet. And I let her know, like, I love you. I'm not ready to talk about this yet. X, Y, and Z is happening with my family right now. And I just don't have capacity to even talk to friends right now. I just don't have it. This is one of my best friends. And she was upset that I didn't feel like talking about this. And I had shared, like, please pray for me. This is the things that are going on in my family. This friend completely also abandoned me. We never had another conversation. She unfollowed, unfriended me across everything. I mean, this is one of my best friends. So like the level of betrayals that happened in a row was enough to hurt and break anyone's heart. So lessons learned. I made the horrible mistake of trusting a man financially. I was planning a wedding and planning trips to go visit my family and planning a life and looking what that would look like. And I got so wound up in that when I closed down the business that I ended up with no income, debt from paying to fly this person around to meet my family, and no plan and nothing to stand on. So that was the first lesson I learned. Another lesson I learned is like taking space for yourself isn't selfish, and there's no need to be embarrassed about what happened to you because things happen. I've met so many women now who have such a similar story that they've shared, and there's no shame around that. Like life is gonna happen sometimes. Sometimes God's plan is not the plan that you think is in front of you, and that's okay. And I also learned how important it is to just focus on faith as a foundation, because the only thing I did consistently in the last 2 whole years now was participate and lead my Bible study. Those girls were with me in the trenches, praying for me, praying with me. I'm still supporting them, and having sisters in Christ like that who are going to pray for you, nothing else, nothing else can change that. Um, so a lot happened there. I would love to tell you that everything went back to normal once I got to Asia and I healed and I became whole and I went this spiritual journey. No, I had already found Jesus. I already had my spiritual awakening with that. And what ended up happening is Thailand got really rainy because of the monsoon season. So I made the executive decision to go to Bali, Indonesia. I was planning to just do a visa run and check it out. One of my really good friends, shout out Megan, she's an MMA fighter. She had a professional fight. I wanted to be there to support her. So I went to Bali for that. Ended up thinking it was really cool. They had way better weather than Thailand. So I ended up sticking around there. Now, Bali's an incredible place. And unfortunately, what happened to me is I ended up living in a place that had toxic black mold. Not just one place, but I moved 7 times in like a span of 5 months, just moving to different places. So I'd pay a month rent and then find mold and then move out, find another place, move out. It was just constant. And I didn't really know a lot about mold at the time, didn't know what to look for, what signs to look for, how to check for it. I had no concept of this. And I very vaguely knew the effects of it just because no one I know has personally been affected by this. What I came to learn is that because of the building infrastructure in Indonesia, the concrete is built with different material than like the US, for example. Difference being concrete in Florida, which is also a very humid environment, has sealant in it, and the sealant prevents humidity from coming in and water coming into the concrete, so it prevents mold. Indonesia doesn't have this, and it's a tropical jungle environment. So you have mold growing up from the ground, and you'll see this because you go to restaurants literally anywhere you go, and you'll see just the bottom trim of the ground is a little bit black. That's black mold. And because of the rain coming down, you will have water marks on the ceiling and just like black marks coming down the walls. That is mold. Because in a lot of the buildings, there's no cross ventilation. Also, like in hotel rooms, for example, cross ventilation prevents mold, but otherwise humidity just builds up. Mold builds super fast, like within 24 hours. And the conditions are it needs to be humid and warm, which is exactly what Bali is. So what people will do to save money, including hotels, by the way, is they will turn the air conditioning on when people are there, and then they'll turn the air conditioning off when no one's around to cut costs. The trouble is, and people do this in Florida too, by the way, it's extremely dangerous. When you turn air conditioning on and off like that, you're creating the perfect breeding ground for mold and bacteria to grow. They also do not know how to maintain air conditioning properly. So when I would go to move in somewhere, I would tell them it's mandatory that I have brand new air filters and the whole air conditioning unit needs to be cleared out before I moved in. And people would tell me with confidence, yes, we took care of this for you. Our staff handled it. And with even more confidence, I would grab a ladder or a chair and I would climb to the air conditioning unit and I would open it by myself. And 10 out of 10 times, not a single soul had ever cleaned that air conditioning unit and the black mold was there. So in the beginning, one question I know I'm asked is like, how did it take you so long to figure this out? Well, in the beginning, I was traveling a lot. So when you get sick, I got sick literally on day 3 being in Bali. And I'm thinking, well, I just got off a plane. I've just been a lot of stress lately. Maybe it's just the flu. And then I felt better. And then I took a flight out and I came back in. And then when I came back to Bali, I was sick again. And I'm like, darn, I got the flu again on the plane. And then I get a little bit better and I'm going to the gym. And then other people are sick at the gym. And then I'm sick again. So I'm thinking what everyone is telling me, which is, oh, there's just a bug going around the gym. Now, a few ways I was able to put the pieces together and figure this out. One, my Aura ring. My Aura ring was showing minor and then major signs of strain almost every day. If you don't have an Aura ring, that means something's wrong and your immune system is reacting to something. You don't know what it is yet. So that was happening. Second part, my lymph nodes were swollen. My lymph nodes were so swollen that I went to the emergency room and they said, "We're going to give you antibiotics, but it's so severe that if the swelling doesn't go down in the next 7 days, we're going to have to remove them entirely." No thanks. No knives. No thank you. So now I'm on antibiotics. I'm on all these different medications. At the same time, Bali belly, which is what they call it there, I'm getting sick. I didn't just get one or two, but I got three different types of parasite infections from the food. I was only drinking water from like healthy bottled spring water. Okay, so it wasn't the water, it's just the food. There's no serve safe. There's no regulations for food safety or anything like that. Whether you're at a, and I really want to emphasize this, whether you're at a 5-star luxury hotel or villa, or you're at the cheapest place possible, you're going to encounter mold. You are. And whether you're going to the most expensive restaurant on the island or the cheapest one, no matter what, you're going to have a 50-50 shot of if you're getting sick or not. It just is what it is. And I got so sick to the point that not only am I wildly inflamed, my face is inflamed, I would wake up like feeling like I got hit by a truck. And I would be confused with brain fog all the time. I would look around my apartment and I would have clumps of hair that were falling out of my head. I would literally wake up in the morning and there would be a clump of hair that had fallen out on my pillowcase. That is not normal. Okay. So now my hair is just falling out. I'm inflamed. I'm sick. My stomach is wildly swollen. And I've put together finally what this is. My brain stopped working because of the black mold. Toxic black mold exposure affects brain function. So I can joke about it now, but like I'd have conversations. I'd go out to coffee with my friends and I'd be like, mid sentence, what was the word I was about to say? What was I just talking about? Where was I going with that? I mean, to an extreme level where it mimicked what an elderly person, how they would interact. Like I would just be confused and pause mid sentence. I couldn't complete thoughts, not just in conversation, but even thinking to write down. I wasn't able to do it. I got to the point right very recently before I left where I went to leave my house. It took over an hour to figure out and remember and recall all the things I needed to put in my backpack. And by the time I was able to remember everything that goes in my backpack, I'm walking at the front door and I'm still in pajama pants. And I'm like, how did that happen? So I turned around, took 5 steps, forgot why I turned around, tried to remember what I was looking for. I go to leave the door again, and as I'm crossing right out the door, I look down and I'm still in my pajama pants. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong, and I can't live like this anymore. So it was a lot, okay? Family hardships, betrayals, broken off engagement, now getting sick on top of it. Like I was not well. It takes 6 to 12 months to recover from toxic black mold exposure. So I'm so much better than I was. But I mean, to have headaches and wake up exhausted every day and just confused for hours on end, you can't really do much productive at the time. So this is why I have been offline. Even when I am thinking about like coming back into coaching, it's like just deciding, how do I want to regroup? I changed so much from when I first started my business. I started my business because I wanted freedom, and I got it. I traveled to 37 countries. I've lived in Thailand on and off for 10 years. I flew first class. I mean, I flew private. Like I've done all these really cool things. I was flown out to speak into Dubai. I was flown out to Mexico to speak. I had so many cool achievements in business and so many cool experiences that I wanted to step back and think, am I really living in alignment with the purpose that God has for me? And when I thought about it that way, no. I wanted to make sure that whatever I built, I was ready. I had the foundation and energy for, and I wanted to make sure that it was truly aligned with the calling that God has in my life. So I'm excited to share in another video what that is, but this video should answer all the questions that I've been getting about what happened, where'd you go, why'd you leave Miami, why'd you go to Thailand, and why'd you go to Bali? So that's the story. Update, fast forward to now. I'm living in Florida again, but far away from Miami. Praise God. I will not be going back to that place. And I'm really loving building a life in a small town by the beach where it's not hustle and bustle, where it's not people showing off Lamborghinis and swiping their credit cards to show a life that they want other people to think they have, but they don't actually have. And people are real and genuine here. And I'm excited to build my life here. And I'm excited to take you guys on the journey now that I have the clarity and the energy I've been looking for. But I would love to know what kind of content would you like to see from me going forward? I've hosted over 100 events. I've been in over 50 podcasts. Like I've done so many different types of workshops and taught in so many different verticals. So let me know, what would you like to see more of on this channel?